Hello, 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 my beautiful people. It is your girl, Jackie B, and welcome to another Tea with Jackie B. Got my new mug that my friend Copper sent me. It says, I am a ray of fucking sunshine, because that is exactly what the fuck I am. Sip tea. So, I wanted to hop on here really quickly and talk to you guys about shadow work. And the reason I want to talk about shadow work is that has just been the consistent theme for the past couple of days for me, or it's just been the main thing on my mind. I have had a lot going on in the past couple of days. I've had a lot of switch ups as far as friendships, relationships, any type of situationships that I'm involved in. There has been a lot of readjusting and a lot of editing because the demons or the shadow, what so have you, that I have been ignoring and have not been addressing or shedding light on have definitely been presenting themselves without my awareness and without my knowledge. And that is because I have not been paying attention to them. And when you don't pay attention to the things that are in your shadow, they will express themselves whether you want to consciously do that or not. And so I want to talk about shadow work because I think that there are a lot of misconceptions about shadow work, and a lot of y'all need to be doing it, including me. And so the first thing is, when people hear shadow work, I know that they get scared. They get kind of on edge. They get like the heebie-jeebies, because if someone tells you you need to do shadow work, it sounds like you have some real deep, scary, hidden shit like locked away in your psyche, and you're like, I don't need to do shadow work. I'm fine. I'm normal. But the reality is that we all have pieces of ourselves or parts of ourselves that we think are unacceptable or bad. Or we all have pieces or parts of ourselves that we don't feel comfortable, that we don't like expressing around other people or certain groups of people for whatever the reason may be. And there was a quote in this book that I read a couple months ago that I would highly suggest. It's called Why Good People Do Bad Things by James Hollis, and it's Understanding Our Darker Selves. And this book changed my life and gave me a completely new perspective on shadow work and why it is important. And so I put a post-it for this quote that he has in here that I really like. So he says, "It is much easier to deny, blame others, project elsewhere, or bury it and just keep on rolling. It is at these moments of human frailty when we are most dangerous to ourselves, our families, and our society. What is not made conscious will continue to haunt our lives and the world. In our short transit on this earth, there is more within each of us than we can ever make conscious and assimilate. And yet our quality of life is a direct function of the level of awareness we bring to our daily choices." So in English, what he's essentially saying is that, yes, it's easy to deny things. Yes, it's easy to blame other people. Yes, it is easy to project the shit that we have going inside on other people. Yes, all of those things are easy. But not only do we become dangerous when we do those things, but when we collectively as a society have decided to do those things, we become even more dangerous, because now we're a group of fucking billion fucking crazy dangerous people, because we're all denying, projecting, suppressing, blaming things on other people and all that good stuff. And even though in this short lifetime that we have here on earth, we don't have all the time in the world to make everything conscious, to understand everything, to put a label, or to be able to talk about everything. However, the quality of your life is directly affected by the amount of things that you are willing to think about, the amount of things that you are willing to take a second look at and really give yourself an opportunity to think over and understand. And so again, Why Good People Do Bad Things, James Hollis, amazing book. But the other side of shadow work, or the shadow, is that there are also really positive things in the shadow. So when I talk about shadow work, and when someone brings shadow work, or if I tell you to look into your shadow and shed light on your shadow, that's not me necessarily making the assumption that your shadow is full of nasty, dirty, gross, resentful, bad things. The shadow can also be filled with beautiful things. And I'll use myself as an example. Now, don't get me wrong, I got some shady shit. I got some skeletons, still in the closet somewhere. But there are many people that have beautiful things in the shadow too. And for me, my shadow not only had, negative, maybe not so great things, but my shadow also had my confidence. My shadow had my voice. My shadow had my talents. Because as I was growing up, I was raised in an environment where I only speak when spoken to. I didn't have the environment where I could completely be myself. I was constantly wearing a mask, or being who I thought my family or my parents needed me to be, and I wasn't who I needed to be. So my shadow didn't necessarily have a bunch of terrible things in it, but my shadow had my confidence, because that was a part of me that I thought was unacceptable or bad. My shadow had my voice, because I thought that the things that I had to say were not going to get me love. They were only going to, get me pushed further away. And so when you do shadow work, you should be prepared to come across and think about things that make you uncomfortable, but you should also be excited because you are being presented with an opportunity to see things about yourself that you've been putting away to make other people comfortable or to be more comfortable in certain situations. I knew Lonnie would get me. Lonnie got me. My girl Lonnie got me. She understands. And so shadow work does not have to be scary. It doesn't have to be scary. You don't have to necessarily sign yourself up for the ride of your life or to traumatize yourself. And so with that being said, I actually have a couple questions. I have a couple shadow work prompts that I shared them yesterday on my Instagram post, but I want to share them again with you guys on live, so that I can be kind of vulnerable and honestly give you my answers or my thought process to some of these questions. So the first one is, where do you repeatedly undermine yourself or create harmful replications? Produce the same old, same old. For me, it's definitely my business ideas and the things that come to mind, or the things that I want to do as an entrepreneur. I'm trying to do better at this, which is why I'm talking about it. That's kind of the whole point. I am constantly undermining myself, my abilities, and my talents. It is very, very difficult, and it is very hard and stressful to work for yourself, especially in today's society in America under this stupid capitalism shit that we are all unfortunately a part of. And so whenever I have a new idea, whenever I have a new endeavor or a new venture that I'm wanting to chase, it always takes me way longer than it probably should to be vocal about it. It takes me way longer than it probably should for me to be comfortable telling people that's what I want to do, and telling people that's what I want to do now, because that shit is scary. And I'm so terrified that I'm going to fail, or I'm so terrified that nobody's going to want to do it, and I'm not going to make any money, and I'm going to get kicked out of my house and like the craziest things come up in my head. But I think that that's a question that a lot of people should ask themselves and really give themselves an opportunity to answer, is where do you undermine yourself? What's an area in your life, or what's something that you're involved with, or that you do constantly that you don't like? Where are you constantly creating these harmful ideas and thoughts in your life, in your and all this stuff? Number 2, this probably is my favorite. And this is the one that really makes me uncomfortable. And so it's a really hard question to answer, but necessary. And it's, where do you flee from your best, riskiest self? Where do you flee from your best, riskiest self? And the reason I like that question, or I think that's an important question to ask yourself and answer, is you need to take a second to analyze or think about the people in your life and the places in your life that you are involved with, or that you go to, that make you feel like you cannot be yourself. Where do you flee from your best self? When you're around person A, B, and C, which person do you feel like you can't be yourself around? When you go here with this person, or when you go to work, or when you go to la-di-la-di-la after work, where do you go that when you step inside the room, or when you come around that person, you're like, let me put on my mask. Let me act like this now, because I'm here. I gotta act like this. I'm around this person. I gotta act like this, because those people and those places, they gotta go. They gotta go. And as uncomfortable as it was for me, I actually spent this past weekend, I made a list. Like, I got a piece of paper and some fucking pen out, and I made a list of the friends or people, acquaintances, just anyone in my circle in my life. And I made a list, and I went through, and I really asked myself, who makes me uncomfortable? Who do I not feel like I can be myself around? Who makes me feel on edge? Who makes me put on a mask? Who do I feel like wouldn't like me as much if I really was my true self around them? And the same thing goes for places. And I think that's one reason why I like working for myself, and why I like being an entrepreneur, is more often than not, whenever I did have a job, when I would go to work, it would make me unhappy because I felt like I couldn't be myself around the people that I was working with. I had to be who that business wanted me to be. I had to be who that restaurant wanted me to be. I had to be who that manager wanted me to be, but I could never actually be who I was. And once you are aware of those places and those people who make you feel like you can't be your best self, well, then you know they need to go. And number 3, where are you stuck in life? Blocked in your development? What fears or familiar issues block your growth? So where are you stuck in life? This is a difficult question to answer, not only because the answer may make you feel some type of way, but it's going to take most people a second to really think about what answer would be most honest or accurate. So for me, when I think, where am I stuck in life and blocked in my development, it would probably be, I think one reason my anxiety is so bad, and I kind of realized this today, and this is my first time saying this out loud, so bear with me. One place where I am stuck is I have the constant assumption that everyone is upset with me. I have the constant assumption that someone is always just waiting to fuss at me or badger me or get on me. And so it really was put in my face yesterday when I got a knock at my door yesterday evening, and I wasn't planning to have company. I wasn't planning to have anybody over. And so the knock on my door scared the hell out of me. One, because a couple of months ago, my landlord showed up unannounced, banging on my door because he was mad about something. So I'm low-key like traumatized from that shit. I have a crazy-ass neighbor over here who came over one time, knocking on my door. He blocked the people. I have really bad experiences with people coming to my door. Either way, I'm a grown-ass woman. This is my house. And so when someone knocks on my door, I should feel comfortable enough to open the door and ask them what they want, right? Like I should feel comfortable enough to open the door and say, "Hi, can I help you?" But yesterday when I got a knock at my door, I literally creeped up to my door, peeked. When I saw someone was standing there, I ducked down. Ducked down in case this woman happened to look through my, it was in the moment when it happened, I felt so silly and I felt so weird because I was like, "Jackie, why are you scared to open the door for this woman? You don't know who she is. You don't know what she wants." And I was literally just assuming, or I just knew or just felt that this woman was knocking on my door to tell me something I didn't want to hear, or I just knew that she was knocking on the door to just get on my ass about something. And so she stood there for maybe a minute or two, and I'm like, damn, this woman really must want something. She must really be trying to fuss at me. And so the crazy thing is a minute or two after she walked away and the knocking ended, I got a text message on my phone, and it goes, "Hey, this is the flower shop. We left flowers at your door." Because my girlfriend sent me flowers. So the whole time I'm over here paranoid, hiding behind my door like a child, because I'm terrified that I'm going to open my door to some type of conflict that I didn't want to handle, when in reality it was flowers. They were bringing me flowers. and so when I think about where I'm stuck in life, I catch myself often, even when the phone rings. I hate answering the phone. I hate talking on the phone. Don't call me. Text me first. Text me and tell me what you're about to call me about. Because if I get a call out of nowhere, I don't care who it's from. It could be from one of my best friends, my grandmother, my mom. It can be from anybody. If you have not texted me first, I am probably not going to answer, because my anxiety over whatever you were calling me about is destroying me. It's killing me. And so I don't know if there's a specific place that I'm stuck in life, but I definitely think that my anxiety and my fear of conflict and my fear of being fussed at and my fear of people being angry with me definitely blocks my development and my growth. And unfortunately, it is an issue that I'm familiar with because it comes up more often than I would like to admit. And so shadow work comes into play with, now that I've said that out loud, now that I've acknowledged it, now that I'm aware of it, it's something that I can do better to work on. And then the last question that I have for you guys for today, is what do you consider to be your virtues? Can you imagine the opposite of your virtues? And can you see some place in the present or in your history where the opposite of that virtue may have in fact manifested in your life? So I'll give you guys an example. So what do you consider to be your virtues? I think that most people would consider honesty to be a virtue. You like to be honest. You want other people to be honest. Honesty is important to you. So let's imagine the opposite of that virtue, which would obviously be dishonesty. So can you see some place in the present or in the past where dishonesty has manifested in your life, or you've been dishonest, or even where your honesty may have hurt somebody? Or a more personal example is, a virtue for me is patience. Patience is 100% a virtue. I think it is very important to be patient. However, I am not a patient person. I can think of more situations and scenarios than I would like to admit where impatience definitely had me by its grip and was running the show. And so that's an important question to ask yourself, is really give yourself an opportunity to sit down, think about what's important to you, think about your virtues, think about your morals, think about the things that you consider to be good, think about the things that you consider to be true and authentic or whatever. Then I want you to think of the opposite, or what the opposite of those things would be, and really ask yourself if any of the things that are opposite of what you just said was good and wanted and true is being presented in your life. Because the Tea with Jackie B it's probably more things than you like. There's gonna be a lot of things on that list that you're gonna be like, whoa, and it's gonna make you uncomfortable, but that's the whole point. Because if you can't be uncomfortable for the sake of bettering yourself, if you can't be uncomfortable for the sake of improving and growth, you're going to constantly put yourself in uncomfortable situations, and you're going to make the people around you uncomfortable. And I think that's kind of like the big picture, or the big, for me at least, the big push or the big motivator behind doing shadow work and asking and answering these difficult questions, is that not only does it benefit me, but when I take care of me and I make sure that I'm taken care of, naturally everyone around me will be taken care of. And if they're not taken care of, if they are experiencing some type of stress or hardship, it won't be because of me because I'm doing my part. And I like to believe that if everybody really did their part, and if everybody took more time to care for themselves, then naturally your relationships with other people and the things and places or whatever around you would be improved and grow as well. Yeah, jot that down. That's a T. And so what's crazy is, as I was kind of reading and taking notes on shadow work and stuff yesterday, I actually came across a quote in this book, and I use this book a lot. I've been using it way more often because it's been on my mind more consistently. But this book really is great. It's called Meditations for Women Who Do Too Much, and there's a meditation for every single day. And so yesterday, after I had like this whole kind of like epiphany, whatever you want to call it, about shadow work, it's crazy because this was part of the quote or meditation for yesterday. There is something within me that knows more than I know. Trusting it can only result in healing. The events in our lives happen in a sequence in time, but in their significance to ourselves, they find their own order, the continuous thread of revelation. And the reason I fuck with that quote so heavy, or why I like that quote so much, is because not only does it remind me that there is a part of me that knows more than I know, but it just reminded me that whenever things come up from your past randomly, even though they may make you uncomfortable, and it's really fucking annoying when things that happened when you were fucking 7 come up when you're 27, your inner process knows more than you do. Your inner process knows when you are ready to handle, think through, and work through a situation. So the things that happened to me when I was 7, 8, or 9, I wouldn't have known. Wouldn't have even been able to grasp or understand or process why those things were happening to me, or what would be required for me to work through and get over those things, because I'm a child. So now that I'm an adult, even though it's much easier for me to pretend like there are no skeletons in my closet, it's much easier for me to pretend like I don't have a shadow or a shadow self that I've created to hide things in. It's just not realistic, and it has caused that shadow, and it has caused those darker parts of me to have control of me when I don't want them to, because I have made no effort to control or have a conversation with them. And so shadow work is really all about, instead of running from your demons, it is about turning around, facing them, and pouring them bitches a cup of tea. Have a conversation. Let's get to know each other. Let's chat, because your demons are not trying to scare you. They're not trying to attack you. They really have your best interest in mind. I know it doesn't feel like that, but they're not chasing you so that they can grab you by the back of your neck and slam you against the fucking concrete and be like, ha, I got you, bitch. They're chasing you because they want to talk to you. Your demons are chasing you because they want to have a conversation. They want to be integrated with you. They want to be a part of you. They do not want to scare you. And that voice in your head that is trying to make you scared and that's trying to make you fearful, I know it sounds like it doesn't have your best interest in mind, but again, it's a signal. It's a distress signal. It's an SOS. It's tapping at you, saying, talk to me, face me. Like, I want to meet you. Stop leaving me in the shadows. Stop leaving me in the dark. Whoa. Wow. Even my tea was feeling that. Even my tea got excited. But I just think that so many people avoid doing the work, and so many people avoid shadow work because they think it's cliche, or they think that it's scary, or they're not ready to have those conversations, and you're just making life more difficult. Like, yes, shadow work is difficult, but a life where you don't ever become aware of anything, or you don't ever take a moment to have a conversation with yourself ever, that's even more difficult. That's even more scary whenever you let the things that you've pushed away take control of you because you've made no effort to control them. And yeah, that's the tea with Jackie B. That was really all That's really all I wanted to say. I have no fancy special ending. I will be sharing this and posting it so that you guys can check it out whenever you want to. And I would also like to come back and talk about shadow work more often or again, and give you guys some more questions and prompts for you guys to try for yourselves and listen to me while I ramble and talk through them my damn self. So I hope that you guys enjoyed that. Like, share, comment, say with a friend, all that good stuff. I hope you guys have an amazing week. And that's the tea with Jackie B. Go do your shadow work, bitch.